Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chip Over the Top Rugby Podcast. My name is Ryan. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I hope you are doing well and are looking forward to round 2 of the Rugby World Cup, just like I am. Now, before we get into that, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and you're new here, hit subscribe. I very much appreciate it. We are well on our way to 500 subscribers, and I can't thank you all enough. The growth of this channel has been incredible, and so therefore I thank you. Diolch Yn Fawr. Thank you very much. Now, week 2 of the Rugby World Cup is going to be slightly different in terms of the games. There's not going to be as many close competitions, apart from maybe 1 or 2. Could be some surprises, could be some upsets. Who knows? Let's dive in. Now, a lot of the teams are being announced tomorrow. Obviously, France are playing Uruguay, and that team sheet's already been announced. I think Diolch has been named captain for France, which is interesting. And we also have a couple other pretty interesting games as well. So, like I said, France playing Uruguay to start. We have New Zealand against Namibia, which is going to be brutal for Namibia, but for fantasy rugby, if you get New Zealand in your team, you are doing okay, maybe. We also have Samoa against Chile, which I think is going to be a good game. I think that one will be interesting to watch if Chile can put in a performance like they did against Japan, but maybe keep it a little bit tighter. There could be an upset. Ireland against Tonga. Could Tonga do what Samoa nearly did to Ireland and beat them? Who knows? We have Japan against England, which I think is going to be a very good game or an interesting watch. That one should be should be an easy win for England, maybe. But if Japan can do what they did against South Africa in 2015, then that throws everything into the mixing bowl. Obviously, we have Wales against Portugal, and we have South Africa against Romania. And the big one, the last but not least, Australia against Fiji. I think the one game of the weekend that could have some surprises and could be an absolute blockbuster. I, for one, am very much looking forward to that one. Obviously, on the back of Wales beating Fiji and Australia beating Georgia, this is a must-win game for Fiji if they want to progress, which I think is also kind of harsh as from Fiji's standpoint, is that they've had 2 of the hardest games back to back in terms of the groups. I think other teams are having a little bit of an easier run at it, maybe. So yeah, you could argue Ireland-Tonga game is going to be a little bit difficult, but I don't think that's going to be as difficult as Australia against Fiji. Because at the end of the day, if Fiji lose, unfortunately, they are not progressing to the quarterfinals, which I think a lot of people, based off, even neutrals, based off the game that they played against Wales in round 1, would like to see Fiji progress, because this team is something special. It has players across the board that are just absolutely incredible. And I think a lot of people would like to see Fiji progress. So they have to beat Australia here. They have to. Otherwise, unfortunately, they're not going to make it out of the group stages unless something drastic happens. If Portugal beat Wales, if Georgia beat Wales, or obviously there's question marks here. It's happened before. Georgia has beaten Wales, but Fiji must win this game against Australia if they have any chance of making the quarterfinals. Now, obviously, this is the Chip Over the Top Rugby Podcast, but I am from Wales, so shockingly, not really shockingly, because it was kind of expected at this point, Warren Gatland throwing out the curveball and was supposed to announce his team tomorrow, but has already pre-announced it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Welsh team to take on Portugal is stacked. That's all I can say. Starting in the front row, Nicky Smith, Dewi Lake is captain, and Dylan Lewis is tight head. In the second row, he's given Beard and Will Rowlands a much needed rest, but Beard's on the bench. We'll get on that in a second. But Chunza is making his debut at lock. Obviously, he can play there, and I think that is the role that he's been chosen for Wales in this World Cup. But obviously, he can still play back row, so we'll see if that happens. And then Dav Jenkins taken up alongside him. In the back row, we've gone with Dan Lydiate, Tommy Raphael, and Toby Faletau. And I think Faletau's in there just to get a bit more game time under his belt against Portugal. I think they'll probably pull him early, maybe after 40, 50 minutes, just to allow him a bit more rest. Moving on to the backs, we have Thomas Williams and Gareth Anscombe making his return to the field, which is very exciting news for Welsh fans and for him. After his long run out and not making any of the World Cup warm-up games, I think this will be very good for him and a nice little tester for Anscombe against Portugal. And then on the wings, we have Rio Dyer and Lewis Rees-Zammit at the centre partnership, which is personally my favourite centre partnership here. I think it's the most exciting. Probably not as stable as Tompkins and North because they haven't played as much time together as those two. But Johnny Williams and Mason Grady, I would be interested to see how these two do as a duo, because my goodness, it's going to be a tough time if you're a Portuguese centre going up against those two. 6'5", 16, 17, pushing 18 stone. It's going to be brutal. And they're both excellent playmakers. They're both physical ball carriers. They got speed. It's going to be tough. And then rounding out the 15, we have Lee Halfpenny coming in at fullback, which was good to see him, giving Liam Williams a rest, possibly with those decisions in mind, no bigger on the bench, etc. Are those going to be favourites to start against Australia? Time will tell. Now, moving on to the replacements, we have Ryan Elias. Corey Domachowski is going to get another opportunity off the bench, especially hopefully to redeem himself for his yellow card that he received against Fiji. Thomas Francis. Interesting, no Henry Thomas in this one. I would have thought it would be Henry Thomas, but no, Thomas Francis is back in. Adam Beard is covering the locks. Tane Basham is covering the entire back row, and I'm surprised that he's not starting, but expect to see him featured probably sooner rather than later, especially with Faletau probably going to be pulled sooner. And then backs cover, we have Gareth Davis, obviously the only other scrum half in the Welsh team. Sam Costello is the fly half replacement and maybe scrum half replacement if we need him. And then we have Josh Adams rounding out the 23. So let me know your thoughts on that team. I would have given my sort of thought process, and that is what I was going to do, but obviously Warren Gatland throwing the curveball out there and picking his team nice and early for us to actually froth over, because that is not a bad team at all, and I do feel sorry for Portugal. Could there be upsets this weekend? The only one that I can possibly see is Chile could beat Samoa. Tonga could push Ireland. Fiji could absolutely wipe the floor with Australia. Can Australia hang in? Can Australia make as many tackles as Wales had to in order to win that game? And then Japan against England could be an upset of the weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, that is round 2, the review. I'm very much looking forward to these games. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what this Welsh team can do up against Portugal. But that is not to knock Portugal. We know what Portugal is capable of. They wouldn't be in the World Cup if they weren't good. And they do have some playmakers across the back, some speedsters as well. So yeah, Diolch Yn Fawr, thank you very much for watching. This is a lot more shorter of a video, a little bit less to cover. And yeah, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you're new here. I very much appreciate it. And make sure you leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the Welsh team. Let me know your thoughts on round 1. Let me know your thoughts on round 2. What games are you looking forward to watching this coming weekend? Ladies and gentlemen, that is all from me. My name is Ryan, the Chip Over the Top Rugby Podcast. I will catch you all very, very soon. Diolch Yn Fawr.